What did cavemen do during a thunderstorm? Imagine standing in an open valley 40,000 years ago. The afternoon is warm. Children are gathering berries near camp. Two hunters are cutting meat beside a fire. Then the wind changes. Leaves turn their pale undersides toward the sky. Birds vanish into the trees. A wall of dark cloud rises over the ridge, and before anyone feels a drop of rain, the whole world flashes white. A heartbeat later, thunder cracks across the valley so hard that a child drops the basket in her hands. There is no weather app, no solid house, no glass window, and no vehicle to run toward. There is only the group, the landscape, and whatever they have learned from every storm that came before. So what did cavemen actually do? First, we need to be honest. Cavemen were not one people living in one place, and most ancient humans did not spend their entire lives inside caves. Across the Stone Age, people lived in forests, grasslands, deserts, coasts, brush huts, hide shelters, rock shelters, and caves. Archaeology can show us hearths, tools, living floors, and the remains of shelters, but a thunderstorm rarely leaves behind a neat record of human decisions. Nobody has excavated a sign that says, "Storm Plan." What follows is a careful reconstruction built from archaeology, human behavior, and the dangers of storms themselves. The first defense was probably not shelter, it was attention. People who lived outside knew the ordinary voice of their landscape. They noticed when the air suddenly cooled, when wind pushed from a new direction, when tall clouds grew dark underneath, and when distant thunder rolled behind the hills. They did not need to know about electric charge to understand the message. The sky was changing, and the group had work to do. Imagine the camp snapping into motion. A gatherer pulls drying plants into the shelter. A hunter lifts stone blades and spear points from the ground before they disappear into mud. Someone grabs the hide bag holding dry grass, bark fiber, and precious tinder. Older children collect the smallest children. Meat is moved away from runoff. Baskets are turned upside down or placed under hides. The goal is simple. Protect the people first, then protect the few objects that make tomorrow possible. Choosing where to wait was a serious problem. The tallest lone tree might look like a perfect umbrella, but lightning can strike a tree, blast bark from its trunk, break heavy branches, and send current through the nearby ground. Open ridges and exposed rock were dangerous too. Water brought a different threat. A dry gully could become a rushing channel in minutes, and a camp beside a gentle stream could suddenly be in the path of a flood. The safest available place would depend on the landscape. Lower than an exposed ridge, away from a solitary tall tree, but also above the channels where water was gathering. Sometimes the answer was a cave or a deep, stable rock shelter. Sometimes it was a brush hut reinforced with poles and hides. Archaeologists have found evidence of Paleolithic living spaces that included hearths, work areas, and bedding, so these were not just piles of branches thrown together at random. But even a cave was not magical protection. Rain could pour through the entrance. Loose stone could fall from a cliff. Water could rise across the floor. A shallow overhang could leave people exposed. Experienced groups would have remembered which shelters stayed dry, which slopes shed rock, and which valleys flooded. Now the first cold gust hits. The fire bends almost flat. Three people rush toward it because the fire is more than comfort. It cooks food, gives light, dries clothing, discourages predators, and may be difficult to replace. One person moves burning wood toward the deepest dry part of the shelter. Another stacks damp logs as a windbreak. A third gathers hot coals close together and shields the tinder bundle from rain. If the flames die, a glowing ember hidden in ash can still mean the difference between restarting the hearth and spending a wet night in darkness. Then the rain arrives. Not gentle rain, but a solid curtain that erases the far side of the valley. Water drums on hide roofing. Wind pulls at every fiber tie. People lean their weight against shelter poles while others patch gaps with bark, grass, and extra skins. Children and babies are moved toward the driest center. Tools, food, and fuel are kept off the wet ground on flat stones, branches, or hide bundles. Nobody is posing. Everybody has a job. Lightning flashes again, close enough that light and thunder seem to arrive together. Outside, a tall tree explodes with steam beneath its bark. A branch crashes into the mud. Inside the shelter, Faces go still for 1 second, then the work continues. Ancient people did not have a scientific explanation for thunder, and different communities must have understood it in different ways. The sound may have inspired fear, stories, spirits, animals in the sky, angry ancestors, or ideas we will never recover. But whatever they believed, the physical danger was real. The storm also changed the animals around them. Herds bunched together or ran before the wind. Birds hid. Predators looked for cover. A frightened animal could charge through brush without warning, and a hungry predator might shelter closer to humans than usual. That made the edge of camp dangerous. Adults kept children from wandering. Spears and stones stayed within reach, not because the group planned to hunt in the storm, but because the storm made every familiar distance harder to see. Heavy rain could become the greatest threat of all. Picture muddy water beginning as a thin line near the shelter entrance. Then it widens. Twigs spin in it. A basket starts to float. An elder points uphill, and the group moves immediately. One adult carries a child. Another carries the ember bundle. Others take food, tools, and hides, leaving anything too heavy behind. There is no argument about a favorite object while water climbs around their ankles. Survival means knowing what can be abandoned. On higher ground, the group crouches beneath lower trees in a reinforced hide, spread across enough space that one falling branch cannot strike everyone. They are cold, soaked, and exhausted. Yet they keep checking each other. Is the baby warm? Is the injured hunter breathing normally? Did every child arrive? Is the ember still alive? This is the part that matters most. Ancient survival was rarely one heroic person defeating nature. It was many people noticing different dangers and covering one another's mistakes. Eventually, the thunder grows distant. The rain softens, but nobody rushes back into the open the moment the sky brightens. Lightning can still strike after the heaviest rain has moved away. They listen. They watch the clouds pull apart. Only when the valley feels ordinary again does the group begin the slow walk back. The camp is a mess. Bedding is soaked. Ash has become black paste. One shelter wall is down. Meat is muddy. A basket is missing. And water runs through the place where children slept. But the disaster is also a lesson drawn in the ground. A new channel shows where the next camp should not be built. A split tree shows why nobody should crowd beneath the tallest trunk. A dry patch at the back of the shelter reveals where fuel should be stored next time. Every mistake has become information. Then someone smells smoke. Farther up the slope, lightning has struck a dead tree. The rain prevented a large fire, but a red ember glows inside broken wood. For early humans who could preserve fire before they could reliably make it whenever they wanted, a lightning strike may have been both terror and opportunity. Natural fires caused by lightning were part of the world long before human firemaking. A careful person could approach after the danger passed, carry a smoldering piece back with dry tinder, and turn the storm's violence into a new hearth. Soon a thin flame rises under the shelter. Wet hides are hung nearby. Children hold their hands toward the heat. Adults scrape mud from stone tools and untangle soaked fiber. Someone replaces the roof ties while another gathers branches dropped by the wind. The storm did not end when the thunder stopped. Recovery was part of survival too, and the landscape offered new possibilities. Rain filled shallow pools and softened hard ground. Fresh tracks appeared sharply in the mud. Fallen limbs supplied wood. Washed soil exposed stone that could be tested for tools. Hunters could see where animals had moved, while gatherers checked which plants had been flattened or uncovered. The storm destroyed plans, but it also revealed a change map of food, water, fuel, and danger. That night, the fire burns again. The youngest children sleep at the center, while adults talk at the edge of the light. Maybe an elder points toward the flooded channel. Maybe a parent imitates the sound of the falling tree, making the children laugh now that they are safe. The story's not entertainment alone. It carries instructions. When the wind turns cold, bring in the tinder. Do not wait beneath the lone tree. Keep away from the dry channel. Count every person before you leave. This is how humans became better at surviving storms. Not because they controlled the weather, and not because caves made them untouchable. They survived by reading signs early, moving together, protecting fire and children, choosing ground carefully, and turning frightening experience into shared memory. A thunderstorm could scatter a camp, drown a hearth, break a shelter, start a wildfire, or kill without warning. But after the sky went quiet, humans did something the storm could not do. They taught one another what had happened. So what did cavemen do during a thunderstorm? They watched. They worked. They moved when the water moved. They held shelters down with their own weight. They guarded a coal smaller than a fingernail. They carried children, abandoned possessions, listened for danger, and remembered every place the storm had touched. Above them, lightning split the darkness for a second. Below it, around one struggling flame, human knowledge stayed alive.